This is the DNT ZULUS HD. It's a day and night vision optic. I'm amazed at the clarity. Just zeroed it on paper. I'm gonna confirm on steel. I'm at 50 yards right now. It's not quite dark yet, but we are gonna shoot at the dark as well. Let's see if I'm on steel at 50. Okay, let's take it back to 100. Do you want to see in the dark? Do you want to be able to shoot in the dark? Do you want to be able to shoot long distance in the dark without spending 10 grand on night vision? This is the DNT Optics ZULUS HD. It's a 5-20 with digital zoom, but a very, very clear optical lens, a nice compact package, and this thing is packed full of features for a pretty affordable price. Almost amazingly affordable for what you get here. Now, to be quite honest, I was a little bit skeptical about this. I have used one other digital day and night vision scope from a different company, and it was very impressive, but it was also much more expensive than this. And to be quite honest, this one packs all of the same features and more into a smaller, easier to use design, which is kind of sweet. It's got targets at multiple distances. You're gonna see how zeroed this thing is before it gets dark. Let's try it out. Knocked over the long target. We live in the golden age of firearms technology, and that is not an exaggeration at all. The fact that you can get something like this for the price you can get it at is incredible. This thing does amazing things. So the reason why I was a little skeptical is it's a digital optic, and in general, I just don't think that digital optics, you don't usually get the kind of picture clarity that you do with, non-digital optics. This is what I pulled off of this rifle to put the DNT ZULUS on here. But this actually really surprised me. Even when I just had it on the tripod in my living room, setting it up, getting used to it, I was amazed at the clarity. So you can adjust your focus here. It's a real lens. That part's not digital at all. And you can get your picture extremely clear. Now, unfortunately, this thing does record first-person footage, and I thought I recorded a bunch of first-person footage out shooting last night, and I was out till 10:30 shooting in the dark with this thing. I was really proud of myself, all this incredible footage I got to show you what it looks like through this optic. And for some reason, I can't figure out how to transfer the footage from this onto my computer. You can, I'll show you when we get up close, but it has a USB cord to plug into the computer. For some reason, I just can't seem to get anything off of it. It's got a micro SD card that was in it. I know I had it recording. Not really sure what the issue is there. I'm not the most technical person in the world, but I can tell you everything about using this optic. And I'm going to try to get some stuff through it here to add into the video because it is worth seeing through this thing. Unfortunately, it's going to be camera through the eyepiece instead of the actual first-person footage. But this thing is very clear and very clear out to distance. I only got out to about 125 yards last night at the very farthest, but I think that I could have easily shot this thing out to 300 or 400 yards very effectively. It has up to a 20x zoom, so you can see very far with it, and then you can adjust your focus and see very clearly at distance, which is pretty amazing. We're going to look at this up close, and I'm going to show you about all the features because, it's a pretty impressive optic, especially again for the price. This video is sponsored by Venice AI. Do you ever wonder what ChatGPT does with your conversations? We all know that our phones, Alexa, everything like that listens to our conversations and then advertises to us based on what we say. Well, what else are these things doing with our personal information? They're selling it to third parties, including governments. In fact, the director of the NSA, the former director, is now sitting on the board of ChatGPT, which is why I'm using Venice AI. Venice AI is an AI software. It uses open source software that you don't have to download. It goes straight to your web browser, but the biggest thing is that it's private and permissionless. And so you don't have to worry about them selling your information to anybody else, which is kind of why it's a big deal to me. I like privacy, even though I show everything that I do on a YouTube channel. My daughter, she's 13. She uses AI for all kinds of things these days. She's been writing stories with it. She's been making music with it. It is incredible what you can do with AI. It's a very powerful tool, but keep your privacy while you use it with Venice AI. I like the Pro plan personally. It just gives you a lot more that you can do, and you can get a 20% off on your Pro plan if you sign up using my link. That is venice.ai/sawtooth-tactical. Use that code to get 20% off. The code is sawtooth-tactical. Stepped it back a little bit farther. I've got targets at 50, 75, and 100. We're going to use up the rest of this mag before it gets super dark and just see how it is as far as like a kind of a precision scope in the daylight, because it is for day and night. It is very clear. I've noticed that it does have a little bit of latency when you have it zoomed in a bit. It's a 5 to 20, so it has plenty of range. But let's see how it does. It's getting dark enough where it's hard for me to see the targets from now. Probably put on the Ear Pro. I've always heard really good things about DNT optics. They make not only day and night vision scopes like this, but also thermals, and people seem to rave about them, and I can see why now. So this thing is pretty incredible. Let me just show you what I was talking about a minute ago. So right here, you do have a micro SD card. You format this and then you record onto that card. For some reason, I couldn't figure out how to get it off of that. And then right here, you just plug in and, get your footage off that. I assume you can also charge your battery through here or through the included battery charger, and it comes with a couple of batteries. These are standard 18650 batteries that it runs on. The sweet thing about this, the battery life does seem to be pretty good, but I just charged up the spare battery and brought it with me to the range. And that way, there was no way that I was going to run out of power in my optic in the middle of the night, which is pretty sweet. So 2 ways to charge your batteries, and it runs off very standard batteries. You got a pick rail to mount stuff to, but unlike some other ones where you had to have a big IR light that you mount onto this, this thing has the IR built in, and it's all very compact and nice. So this is your IR illuminator, and it is focusable very easily. You can focus it in or out, whether you want to have, a nice tight beam or illuminate a wider area. This right here is very cool as well. And I got first-person footage of all this stuff, and this is bugging me that I can't show you that, but this is a laser rangefinder. So as you can see right there, IR illuminator, laser rangefinder, and all you do is, while you're using this, just push this button, and it ranges for you and tells you exactly the distance that a target or anything is. And then it's got ballistic calculators that you can work with to shoot at those distances. This scope literally does all the work for you. And when it comes to that, zeroing it is very interesting. So One of my favorite things about this optic is actually the way that it's set up. One of the things that scares me, I guess you could say, about digital optics is, just too many buttons, too much, too complicated. And I was worried about that with this one too, and it's just not really true. It's very easy. So you have an on-off button here. Obviously, we know what that does. This is your zoom, so it goes from 5 to 20, and you can feel that easily in the dark with your finger. I was able to use all of the menu items in the dark just by memorizing where they were. That was really nice. That one there looks like a camera. Hit that to record, long press to stop recording and save. This one is your menu. Hold that down while you're looking through it, and then you use these buttons to cycle through the menu options, and there's all kinds of stuff you could do. One of the things is zeroing it, and zeroing it, you don't see any windage and elevation turrets on this because it's digital and you don't need that. Zeroing it is super simple and easy. You put your crosshairs on a target, shoot, see where your point of impact is, and then you go into your zeroing function there, and you just move your reticle to that point of impact, save it, and then you're zeroed. You can literally zero it in one shot. I took a couple shots just to make sure I was good, and it was my first time zeroing it, but you could zero it with one shot because you can even freeze frame it, and then you don't even have to be looking at your target, and you can just move your reticle to exactly where your point of impact was. It's pretty dang easy. And then the other functions that you have besides going through the menu, because there's all kinds of stuff in there, but this is how you turn on your IR illuminator. It has, different brightness modes, day, night mode, all of that stuff. And this was all very easy to use while I was out there in the dark shooting. That was my favorite thing about this optic, was how easy it was to use. Because, like I said, digital optics, I am not a digital kind of person. I know I have a YouTube channel and I had to figure out how to put videos up on the internet. But other than that, I'm just not a very technical person when it comes to digital, computerized type of stuff. And my favorite thing about this was how easy it was to use. Everything is done with just these 5 buttons, these 4 buttons really, besides the on-off. Your 5 to 20x right there. Focus it with this. It's very easy to use. Range it, IR illuminator focus, super simple. And that's what I really like. And super clear. Even out at 120 yards in the pitch black darkness, I was able to, zoom in and focus and see my targets extremely clearly and make hits very, very easily. The nice thing about this optic, and the reason why it was so easy to use, is because of the manual here, which is, it's very clear. It's not in Chinese, it's in English, and it tells you what everything does. I know it looks complicated here, but it's really not. I read through this once, I figured it all out very easily, and then I was able to use it by myself in the dark without a problem. All of the functions that I wanted to use, I was able to use extremely easily. Up in the top of your screen here, it has all these little icons, and those kind of tell you what's going on. Battery life, obviously, but the ones that I was paying attention to is your IR here. You've got one for your micro SD card to let you know that's going. Up here tells you if you are recording, because it's a clock that's ticking. All of that kind of stuff. It is just super simple and easy. And that's what I really, really love about this thing, is just how easy it is. Now here you can see for the reticle zeroing. So the reticles are kind of a simple crosshairs with, notches and numbers. And so say you aim at the center of your target, but your point of impact is over here. You literally just move the cursor, move the reticle up to the point of impact, save it, and then you're zeroed. It's honestly the simplest, easiest zeroing process that you can possibly imagine. And then the thing even has an app. So whether you have an iPhone or Android, you can hook this up and run ballistic calculators and all of this stuff through your app while you're out shooting. It is honestly pretty amazing. And I am not a computer person, but this optic, pretty awesome to use. Still dark now. Let's see how she does. So I've had a lot of good things to say about this so far, but what about the negatives? Well, first, I do want to talk about the shooting experience because I had a really fun time shooting this thing last night. I went out there. Of course, I brought my night vision because I was going to be out in the dark by myself in the middle of the desert. And I didn't turn my night vision on until I was done shooting. And then I turned this on and used it while I, walked around, loaded up my targets and did everything like that. As far as actual shooting went, I didn't need the night vision once because I was able to see extremely well through this optic. But what were the negatives? So for one thing, it is digital, and at greater distances and higher magnification, you can tell that. There is some latency. So when you're moving from target to target, you can tell it's a digital scope is the best way I can explain that. It's just not as natural as just like your eyes moving from target to target, or, looking through a non-digital optic where you're just seeing through something. This is not that. It is literally a lens, a camera, and then a screen, and you're looking at the screen. But until it got dark and I was shooting at farther distances, that was not even really noticeable. It was only once it got dark and I was using the IR function and I had it zoomed way in, not way in, but I was at it started at 5. I don't know, I was probably at 10 or something. It goes up to 20. I didn't even shoot it up to 20x zoom because I just didn't have the distance to need 20x last night. Like I said, I only got out to about 125 yards. I did a lot of my shooting at 100 yards and 75. But I set up targets at different distances. I mean, I even hit stuff at, did target transitions from 25, 50, 75, or 50, 75, 100. And it transitioned between targets easily. It was, especially with this Geisley SDE trigger, extremely easy to make hits with this thing, especially if I took my time at the farther distances. But I was even able to shoot it pretty quickly, considering it was pitch black dark and I was a little bit at distance. It made it very easy, and that to me is a lot of fun. It's exciting to be out in the dark and be able to make hits on steel, where anybody else wouldn't be able to see. And if you don't have night vision, you're able to do that with this. It would be the perfect thing if you lived on a ranch or something and you had pests that you have to deal with. You'd be able to see them just fine in the dark with this thing. Turn on the IR and it would be cheating, which is pretty cool. The only other negative that I really have to say about it, besides that latency in dark conditions at distance, is the fact that I haven't been able to figure out how to transfer the video files from the card on this onto my computer. Now, I think if I had an SD card that I could plug the micro SD into, I could probably do it that way. I thought I would be able to just take this, plug it into the computer, and it would pop up, because that's usually how those kind of things work, but it didn't with this one. So that's my only other negative. I do hope that I have, at this point, when I'm editing the video, that I've been able to get some footage through the scope just with my camera. I know it's probably footage in my home at this point because I'm not going to be able to make it back out to the range tonight. I've got work in the morning, and it just is what it is. I do want to thank DNT Optics for sending out the ZULUS HD. This was a really fun piece of equipment to play with, and I really enjoyed it. I don't get to keep this. I do have to send it back. That's part of the agreement. But I had a great time messing around with it. And Do I recommend it? I do. Being that this is the second of this type of scope that I have tried out, I actually think that I like this one better, and it costs about 65% of the other one that I used. That other one was awesome too. Different brand, not gonna mention them in this, but this one, I like the form factor, I like the ergonomics and the controls. It's just very easy to use. And easy is good when you're out in the dark. You don't want to be fumbling around in the dark trying to figure out what different buttons do. And I did not find myself having to do that with this scope. I also like the clarity. You can see very clearly through it. The IR works really well. The whole thing, pretty damn sweet. Again, you do have some latency, you know, in the dark at distance, and I haven't been able to figure out how to transfer video files off of it. Hopefully I actually recorded and saved those video files. I can't even tell. When I plug it in, it just says memory, and nothing comes up on my computer. Maybe it's a formatting thing with my computer. I edit on an Apple computer. I don't know, but that is unfortunate because I thought I had all kinds of great first-person footage shooting last night in the dark through this, and unfortunately I don't. It's a good thing I at least had another camera set up while I was shooting. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Make sure you're subscribed. Please like and subscribe and comment. YouTube is demonetizing all of my videos, and so doing that stuff at least helps the algorithm so that more people can see the videos, because demonetized videos, also YouTube just doesn't show them to people. And so then, you know, I put in all this work, I go to the range, I record, I edit. It would be awesome if people saw these videos. So please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know if you have experience with these type of optics, what your favorite one is, experience with DNT optics, because people seem to be really impressed with these. I can see why. I think it's pretty sweet. From Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.